that, and they're choosing to not. So they just the hard-heartedness is quite hard there. So moving on.
Tim, by the way, was one of the cool kids. I was. Tim. But you know what? I'll tell you. It was just like a light switch after a while. After I got more mature out of school, I figured, you know what? I want to go to heaven, just like any other Christian wants to. And I started telling people they wanted me to go out and have fun with them on Sunday. No, I go serve the Lord on Sunday, and it got to work. It just didn't bother me anymore. And the older you get, this becomes Christianity really becomes important to you.
Absolutely. And that may be as well, a factor into some of the rulers, maybe their age, right? There could be lots of factors that we don't know about here. And I am not trying to make excuses for them whatsoever, but there's definitely something there where I think it's just what John is trying to show in this particular chapter. In 44 to 50, Jesus again shows that he cries out and he says, "The one who believes in me does not believe only in me, but also in him who sent me. And the one who sees me sees him who sent me. I have come as light into the world so that no one who believes in me will remain in darkness. If anyone hears my teachings and does not keep them, I do not judge him. For I do not come to judge the world, but to save the world. The one who rejects me does not accept my teaching has the one who judges him. The word which I spoke, that will judge him on the last day. For I did not speak on my own, but the Father himself who sent me has given me a commandment as to what I say and to what I speak. And I know that his commandments is eternal life. Therefore, the things that I speak just as the Father had told me." Now, focusing on verse 47 here, he says, "If anyone hears my teachings and does not keep them, I do not judge him, for I did not come to judge the world." So even though you haven't listened to me, you've spit on me, you've tried to kill me numerous times, you've seen me perform miracles, you've heard what I've said, I don't judge you. I'm not here to judge you. Please listen to me. My sole purpose on this earth is to save you. To save you. I am going to absolutely butcher this, but Steve made an example of sharks swimming in the water, and Jesus is just telling the people on the beach not to go swim in this shark-infested water. I'm not telling you, I'm trying to save you from it. And I know I completely butchered that. How'd that go, Steve?
Well, the people, you can tell someone
Don't swim in the water, there's sharks. And they're like, "Oh, you're just trying to ruin my day at the beach. You're just trying to you just don't want me to have any fun." You start going through all the ways. He's like, "No, I'm not judging you. Like, I just don't want you to get eaten by a shark."
Right.
Yeah.
And through all that he's been through, his purpose is 100% to save them. He's telling you, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to save you. I'm here to save you and to save the world. I did not come to judge the world, but to save the world. The things which I have spoken are what's going to end up judging you in the end, which comes straight from God, which I've been trying to tell you this entire time. And what he does here is such an amazing example of what in the next chapter he's going to ask us to be. It's an amazing vision, and this could give us vision in our own lives. Going into chapter 13, 1 through 4, it says, "Now before the feast of the Passover, Jesus, knowing that his hour had come, he would depart from the world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world. He loved them to the end, and during supper, the devil had already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, to betray him. Jesus, knowing that the Father had handed all things over to him, and that he had come forth from God and was going back up to God, got up from supper and laid his outer garments aside, and took a towel and tied it around himself." Now, again, setting the tone, you see that John points out that Jesus knew that his hour had come. And yet he was able to keep composed and continue to show his love and devotion to his vision and what he was here to do. And he does it in such a manner that whoever heard about it or sees it couldn't be confused as to how much Jesus loves. There couldn't be any confusion. And just like short timer syndrome, like on the job site, someone puts their 2 weeks in, or senioritis, where you get, last couple weeks or last couple little bits of your senior year in school. What do? Not much. Yeah, not much. That's why it's usually good just to let the guy go who put his 2 weeks in. Because they're gonna be lollygagging. They're not gonna really dig down and finish the work and do a good job. Or seniors aren't gonna oh well, that's 2 weeks left, I'm gonna open all my books up now and really get going. It just doesn't happen like that. But here Jesus again sets an example. He knows his time has come, and he doesn't sit back and do nothing. What does he do? He digs down, he doubles down, and he does everything he possibly can to save as many people as he can. And he washes his disciples' feet. In John 13, well, I'm going to read it. John 13, 5 through 11, he then poured water into the basin and began washing his disciples' feet and wiping them with a towel which he had tied around himself. So he came to Simon Peter and said to him, and this guy, I really relate well to Peter for the most part. He's very emotional, and Lord, are you washing my feet? Jesus said to him, what I am doing you do not realize right now, but you will understand later. And Peter said to him, never shall you wash my feet. Jesus answered him, if I do not wash you, you have no place with me. And just wash everything then. Come wash my head, wash my hands. And I can't help but imagine that Jesus had a little chuckle there. And said to him, he who has bathed needs only to wash his feet, otherwise he is completely clean. And you are clean, but not all of you. For he knew the one who was betraying him. It was for this reason he said, not all of you are clean. And then when he had washed their feet and taken their garments and reclined at the table, he said to them, do you know what I have done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are correct, for so I am. So if I, the Lord, the teacher, washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I gave you an example so that you would also do just as I did for you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a slave is not greater than his master, nor is the one who is sent is greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them. I am not speaking about all of you. I know the ones whom I have chosen, but this is happening so that the scripture may be fulfilled. He who eats my bread has lifted his heel up against me. From now on, I am telling you before it happens, so that when it does happen, you may believe that I am he. Truly, truly, I say to you, the one who receives anyone I send receives me, and the one who receives me will receive him who sent me.
Christianity is all about serving.
Absolutely.
Jesus led the best example. He died to make us free. And it's been that much power, God with that much power to wash his disciples' feet. He was letting them know. You debase yourself, you serve the people, and you will be lifted up in the great after a while. And that's what Christianity is all about.
Absolutely. In fact, in John 13:17, it said, Mark, and Steve's lesson on Wednesday, Mark 9:35. If anyone would be first, he must be last and a servant of all. Right? And you're 100% right. And he gives us this entire time. He gives us this example. Mike?
You know, to me, this is one of the areas that has always really touched my heart, because you know we all say, you know, Jesus washed the disciples' feet and whatnot, but you know, another way of saying it is God washed our feet. And to me, that's a humbling understanding. Especially if I'm sitting over here and I'm too busy to call one of my brothers and sisters that, for whatever reason, hasn't been coming to services, or you know, sick or whatever. I can't be bothered with it. That God washed my feet.
Right.
And just how do you get over that and not react to it, or you know, try to step up a little bit better and say, hey, you know, I need to be there for other people.
Right. You know, I think that, you know, can be, you know, a form of that. You know, I mean, we all have it. I have the same thing. There's things that you know that you need to do, or things that you should do, and you know that you could do better. You know, and I think that's just a form of that hard-heartedness, you know, or callousness of just going through your daily life instead of, you know, that's why I think we come to church, to refresh ourselves, you know, to give us that refreshment and knowing, you know, what we are here to actually do, because, you know, we can get caught up in our daily lives. When Jesus washed the disciples' feet, he told them and us that I have given you an example, and you should do as I have done to you. In verse 15, for I gave you an example so that you would do just as I did for you. He's telling us there to emulate him, serving one another in the lowliness of heart and mind, and seeking to build one another up in humility and love. The Lord promises true greatness in his kingdom and is attained by those with a servant's heart, just like in Steve's lesson on Wednesday. And if anyone would be first, he must be last and a servant of all. When we have the servant's heart, the Lord promised, we will be greatly blessed. John 13:17 says, if you know these things, you are blessed if you do them. So when you know it, do it when it comes across. On the second half, Jesus predicts his betrayal. When Jesus said these things, he became troubled in spirit and testified and said, truly, truly, I say to you that one of you will betray me. The disciples began looking at one another and at a loss to know which one he was speaking. Lying back on Jesus' chest was one of his disciples who Jesus loved. And again, you can see Simon here, Peter. He was just rebuked, you know, so he's not going to really jump in there and ask him again, so he gets rebuked again, but he's like, hey, ask him. And so Simon Peter nodded to the disciple and said to him, hey, tell us who it is of whom he is speaking. And then he simply leaned back on Jesus' chest and said to him, Lord, who is it? Then Jesus answered, the man is the one for whom I shall dip the piece of bread and give it to him. So when he had dipped the piece of bread, he took it and gave it to Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot. After this, Satan entered him. Jesus therefore said to him, what you are doing, do it quickly. Now none of those reclining at the table knew for what purpose he had said this to him, but some were assuming, since Judas kept the money box, that Jesus was saying to him, buy things we need for the feast, or else that he was going to give to the poor. So after receiving the piece of bread, he left immediately, and it was night. what I can see, what we can see is the agony that our sins cause Jesus. Because we can see it in the flesh here. Judas's rejection of Jesus is causing him great spiritual agitation and sorrow. In the same way, Judas's action is causing it in the same way that when he was over Jerusalem and he wept for Jerusalem, the people there, he wept for Judas the exact same way. He didn't differentiate. He loved everyone exactly the same and wanted to save everyone the same. I think that this also helps you see the impact of sin on Jesus, on God. No matter what sins we have, no matter what sins are committed, he's going to cry over them the same way. It's not the loving. He wants to save everybody.
That's why when we sin, it breaks his heart.
It breaks his heart.
It really does. I can see him get a little bit quite angry with Jesus because he betrayed him. Jesus promises him everything, and he betrays him. And that's why so many doors can open for us if we believe in God, and so many can be closed when we don't. And it's just happened with me and my family. So many doors opened when we wanted to come up here, and it just happened relatively pretty quick. And then my daughter and her husband, they was up here in a month, and we've been blessed to be here. Believe me.
Absolutely.
I call it God's happy because it's a totally different feeling.
Yeah, I agree, and I think a lot of people have had the same experiences, right?
This story has always kind of intrigued me too, because not only does it show the compassion of Christ to wash the disciples' feet, and of course he identifies Judas, but it also shows, and I use the term loosely, but the power of Satan. Once Satan entered Judas' heart, even though Judas knew all of the miracles and he knew Jesus knew what he was about to do, he still went out and did it. And you would think that, if you were going to do something bad against me, and I said, Matt, I know you're going to do something bad, that may deter you because of, he already knows, maybe I shouldn't do it. But Judas still did it because of, the devil being in his heart. And that's a lesson that we can use is, allowing the devil to come into our heart and to control even a small little portion of our life could lead to huge consequences. And, Christ, knowing what Judas was about to do and sent him out, and it says it was night. Not only did he sneak off in the night, but he also left the light of Christ. He went away from Christ and was no longer following Christ and entered that life of darkness. So to me, it just kind of shows the power of what Satan can do in our lives.
Absolutely, I agree, 100%. In 31 through 38, it says, "Therefore, when he had left, Jesus said, 'Now the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and will glorify him immediately. Little children, I am still with you a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I said to the Jews, now I also say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. I am giving you a new commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another.'" I want to focus on verses 34 and 35. "I am giving you a new commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you, that you also love one another." He is telling us right here. It's clear. It's not a parable. It is a new commandment. He's telling us exactly what to do here. This is his vision statement for us. This is what he wants us to be. Mike?
I think right here, as you pointed out, Christ has made it obvious. He just raised the bar. Because up until this particular point in time, unless it mentions it someplace else that I forgot, always a possibility, it's love your neighbor as yourself. Well, Christ just raised the bar, in my opinion. He's taken it to a new level and a new understanding. He's given us an example of how he loved us.
Absolutely.
Again, going back, God washing your feet. I mean, he's taken it just to a whole new level there. And I think sometimes we read this and we just don't see everything that's involved in this. That I actually have to love these people more than I love myself.
Right. And what a strong vision statement it is. And what is it that Jesus taught us in this entire thing? On the top of everything, what is it that he's instructed us to do and show and to have at all times? It's love. It's love. And that's what we're going to be known by as Christians. That's that love and what we do, what we show, how we are, what other people see us as. When they see love, that's when you're going to get the people say, you're a Christian, aren't you? I can tell. You just have that way about you. Right? And I know you've had that happen. And what is love? Love is all that is good. Love is everything good. There's this is something I got. The vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. But vision and action combined can change the world. Which I'm pretty sure that John did a really good job of showing exactly that the vision and action can change the world. And Jesus did exactly that. And Jesus's vision, I believe, has passed on to us. Jesus was always focused this entire time on his vision. And if we have Jesus as a vision and don't show love, then it's just a dream. And then in 35 it says, he says that all people will know us by our love. Well, all men will know not because they feel something about us, not because the next person thinks that it is, because we're showing that we feel like we're Christians. It's because of the actions that we show and the love that is it projects outward from us. Not something that we keep inside is how they're going to know that we're Christians. So I challenge us to take a deep look at our lives and have a vision of what you want it to look like as we make our way to heaven. Just like Steve.
So we had talked about this at length, and I appreciated the way you framed this. But Jesus showed them, here's what it looks like. The greatest serves, and serves the most. So, washing the feet. He's showing them, this is what it looks like. And then you see him say after that, if you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. Like, don't just have the vision and not have to take any action. You got to know it and do it. And then he says, everyone's going to know you're my disciple because of what you do that looks like me, which is love. Because you're what loves one another. And so he really passes on. And what you started with is he didn't get senioritis, right? He worked until the end. he had a vision, and he did not let up until that vision was accomplished. But he's showing us something now. Is, we can't get senioritis either. We can't serve for 40 years and decide, okay, it's time for me to retire as a Christian, and now I get to just show up. It is a constant action that we need to be taking, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because it really is. He shows us what to do, and then he says, okay, now that's your identifying quality, is that you take action based on your love for one another.
Right. Yeah, and taking that action isn't easy, and I would say that really not lying to yourself, but actually sitting down on a piece of paper, just like you would in business, knowing, seeing, being able to visualize your vision of what you should look like. Maybe it be calling Christians that have fallen away on the way there, or doing something greater, on your path, or just our one goal is to get to heaven, but is to bring as many people with us as possible. And if we don't show that outwardness, love, then we're not going to be able to achieve that. So taking massive action when you figure out and really see your vision is exactly what Jesus did in the example that he gave. So that is actually where I'm going to end. I feel like from 36 on is kind of where the break should have been with 14. So I appreciate you guys and all of your input.